And tonight on Joy News Prime, quote, the 2024 elections will be won or lost at the polling station. It will be a do or die. That's the declaration of opposition leader John Mahama, as he says the NDC will not wait for the Supreme Court.
For everyone that we arrested, one ballot paper, about 100 we didn't arrest. There was a lot of stuffing of the ballot boxes. Election, what you mean, say, yes, the 2020 elections, no, it will be won or lost at the polling station. And the polling station, they better do or die.
Send Ghana cautions government against the distress and consequences of delays in payment to LEAP beneficiaries.
We were not in the LEAP. Things were very difficult. Feeding was a problem for us.
We'll bring you details of their release and speak to the Deputy Country Director. Also tonight, quote, you were the worst manager of Ghana's economy. The New Patriotic Party hits back at former President John Dramani Mahama for questioning the economic management of the current government.
Former President Mahama and Setepe are on public record as being the worst duo to have ever been in charge of the Ghanaian economy at the same time.
And later on Joy News Prime, there's a possible spiral effect from Guinea's uprising as experts predict 2 more coup d'etats may be recorded in Africa before the end of 2021.
In societies where there is suppression of dissent and the expression of free views, we never ever get to know what's happening. And so if you use this as a criteria, probably my true countries is on the conservative side.
In business, the COVID-19 Business Recovery Trade Ministry begins disbursement of 282 million cedis to revive businesses in the industrial sector.
Under the Ghana COVID-19 Alleviation and Revitalization Enterprises Support, the Ministry of Finance has graciously allocated 282 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Trade and Industry to pursue interventions for the revival of an active trade and industry.
My name is Ernest Mina, and Joy News Prime is coming to you live from our studios at Fanofa here at Kukumlimle in Accra. We are on your digital TV because we are free to air. DSTV channel 421, GoTV 144. This is your home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. Stay tuned in. Hello again, many thanks for joining us. We start with some politics, and the governing New Patriotic Party says John Mahama's attempts to paint himself as a better manager of Ghana's economy will be fiercely resisted and exposed. A group affiliated to the NDC on Monday held a forum on the country's economy at which the former President John Mahama called out government for what he describes as the poor handling of the economy, using COVID-19 as an excuse. But according to the General Secretary of the NPP, John Boadu, President Mahama and then Finance Minister Setepe's poor record at the helm of affairs is public knowledge, and that's a quote. Bismarck Kweku Asante has more in the following report.
At a forum in Accra on Monday, the NDC led by John Mahama and former Finance Minister Setepe took turns to criticize the NPP government for its handling of the economy. According to former President John Mahama, the NPP is using COVID-19 as a convenient excuse for what he describes as their incompetence. But in a sharp rebuttal, General Secretary of the NPP John Boadu says John Mahama and his erstwhile government cannot claim to be better managers of the economy.
Former President Mahama and Setepe are on public record as being the worst duo to have ever been in charge of the Ghanaian economy at the same time. This pair is a dangerous pair. Yet in their public forum on the 6th September 2021, this pair sought to create the impression that they had the best of times running this Ghanaian economy.
John Boadu described the tenure of John Mahama as one that marked the downward trend of the economy.
Former President Mahama actively oversaw the worst crisis ever to hit our financial sector and presided over the rot that, if not for Akufo-Addo administration's intervention, will have brought the whole financial sector on its knees.
The NPP chief scribe argued that his party has spent considerable time fixing the alleged mess of the John Mahama government. The NPP says it vehemently disagrees with the former president that COVID-19 has exposed the weakness of the country's economy.
The Akufo-Addo administration has faced the worst ever international crisis in COVID-19. The scourge that has depreciated the worldwide economy and driven debt up generally. President Akufo-Addo has received worldwide commendation for his handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, and Ghana is often used as an example for other countries to emulate.
But corruption also featured on the agenda, with the party castigating the former government for signing the botched Septon Switch deal.
Strangely enough, they've held press conferences upon press conference. He has been speaking on a daily basis. Curiously, he has never touched one of the most gargantuan fraud that was going to be perpetrated on the people of this country. And I must say that it beats our imagination that a program that we cancel, a contract that was given to Septon Switch Deal Limited, costing $1.2 billion. We canceled the contracts. We used only $4.5 million to execute this program to perfection.
The NPP says it is serving notice it will not allow former President Mahama and the NDC to mislead Ghanaians on the true state of affairs in the country. John Boydu said they will continue to set the record straight on what he says is the sterling management of the country since assuming office in January 2017.
Now, John Dramani Mahama has tonight declared that 2024 elections will be do or die. The man who led the largest opposition party, the NDC, in the last election has been touring the Bono East region to thank voters. Speaking at a local radio station, Akina FM in Techiman, he was emphatic that 2024 elections were rigged. He says the NDC will not allow that to happen in the next election. He says that the party will focus on polling stations and collation centers, taking its own fate into its hands, so the final verdict is not left in the hands of the Supreme Court as it happened in 2020.
And so under this current precedent, why elections like life and death for him. And macho or the Delta forces, invisible forces, main security service. Because they be police near Naso no one can say, we empower your police near or share earring, full body say, now share no ma, you can't tell whether it is really a police officer or a soldier. But in himself, or more infiltrated security services with some of their people. And see what Techiman in a video you'll be a video nibi. The way I told into the crowd, it was intended to kill people. We should drag the and say now or koto emi so to at that level about Miss Nipa Bewu. And that's a Nipa Be pre. And the idea what me say what is their intention. Because we share seats ni bi and your mere course na and ya there to assume. Na you hope say the next election at Bebano. We won't see scenes like that again.
And so the former president, John Dramani Mahama, was saying that the 2020 elections was rigged and not 2024, as mentioned earlier. The translation says, and you heard that interview was in Tree, we have printed ballot papers in Ghana so many times. In the past, when we print the ballot papers, you can count for each of them. You can account for each of them. But for this one, after the printing, someone chanced on millions of ballot papers that have also been printed. So we asked, how come we have all these ballot papers when we have completed the processes of printing and selling off the papers? We were told it was a mistake, and so we should burn them. But already we knew some of these papers had entered the system and did not see only polling station day. The people were arrested with duplicate ballot papers. For everyone we arrested, there were 100 more we did not arrest. And this is still John Mahama speaking. And so he has been speaking in the Techiman, that's the Bono region, as part of his tour of the thanking Ghanaians for the 2020 elections. Let's do some more analysis on this. We are joined by Dr. Amachi Boateng, a political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Dr. Boateng, what is your initial reaction to the comment of the former president?
Let me say good evening to your viewers and listeners, and thanks also for the opportunity. Actually, the first thing comes to me as obvious, that the elections shall be won at the polling stations. That is exactly what is supposed to be the case. And so he's reiterating that, meaning that if previously there have been any infractions that had not allowed such development to occur, that going forward, that everybody is going to be vigilant, so that is exactly what Ghanaians get. Elections are necessarily won at the polling stations and nowhere else. And like Dr. Ferijan used to say, that the name of the game is vigilance. Anyone competing in democratic elections, if given the chance, will definitely take advantage of the system. So vigilance is key, and if you come from all actors. So I think that particular statement to me is quite fair. The rules must work. He pointed to the fact that the right things should be done, and I think that is what really ought to be the situations. The rules ought to be applied as appropriately as possible, and then the right thing must be done. And the person who wins should come out clearly. That's exactly what Ghanaians should be going in for. The other statements to me are also critical. Security at the election grounds, and also this whole critical issue of potentially corrupting political party faithfuls, not taking them through the right training regime, because everybody is a Ghanaian.
Hello, Dr. Boateng. Well, we seem to have lost connection to Dr. Amachi Boateng, a political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He's back on the line. Doc, you were commenting on the second aspect of John Mahama's comment about the security of the election.
Yeah, it's an issue that it came up during, following the crisis at the Iowa West Wongon by-elections, and then the committee that was set up to examine the issue. I think that was one of the things they touched on. It borders on security of this nation generally. The political parties definitely will be tempted to recruit people that they think are going to be faithful to them, to play various roles in the security institutions. But then, if they don't take them through the necessary training, so that at the end of the day they become professionals and serve Ghana rather than the interests of political parties, it is the whole nation's security that is, becoming jeopardized. And this issue, one would want to say that it's a real thing that is happening. The temptation is there. There are job opportunities all over in Ghana.
Okay.
But then, the critical thing is that these people should be trained properly.
But Dr. Boateng, the context of what he said is this. He says the elections will be a do or die because under this president, he has made elections too. And the do or die specifically at the polling station. When the former president makes such a comment, what signals does it send to people who are watching and listening? He has a large following. He's a leader of the opposition party. As a political watcher yourself, does this send wrong or bad signals?
Really, you see, Ghana is used to this whole phenomenon of the political parties taking elections as a zero sum. So this whole idea of do or die has been with us all the time. The political parties go to all lengths, even in their primaries, and generally by their posture and some of the techniques they deploy, you realize that they are even prepared to kill, to win political power. It doesn't really send, any good omen to, Ghanaians, to the polity generally. But then this is not the first time we're coming across some such statement. It's not desirable. I think we all want to make sure that the laws guiding elections really are those that should be made to work. So the idea of do and die in a way, is not desirable. I mean, elections should not necessarily be like that. Democracy is not all about elections. It's about governance to deliver development. Yes.
Thank you very much. That's Dr. Amachi Boateng, a political science lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Away from politics, a non-governmental organization, Send Ghana, is cautioning government against the distressing consequences of delays in payment to LEAP beneficiaries. According to the organization, the delays and inconsistencies in the payment is unacceptable as it creates difficulties for the beneficiaries, especially amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. Let me bring you details of a statement issued by Send Ghana. It says, Send Ghana is appalled by government's consistent delays in paying cash grants to households dependent on the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program, LEAP. We also observe a trend in providing two-cycle payments, which is often occasioned by the late release of funds. It is our profound view that this runs contrary to the established norm of paying beneficiaries bi-monthly. In recent times, funding for LEAP payment has become irregular and unpredictable. This development is eroding public confidence in the effectiveness of LEAP to eradicate poverty and address inequality. Besides, it is a decision of the country's quest to attain sustainable development goals 1, 2, and 10. In particular, we urge the government to depart from the deviation to safeguard the financial liberties of the poor and vulnerable people who are dependent on the cash transfer program. In January 2021, the government combined the 69th and the 70th cycle payments that went out to 333,967 LEAP beneficiary households. The 71st and 72nd cycle payments due in March and May 2021 respectively were delayed and paid together in June. The 73rd payment cycle was done in July, but our investigation have revealed that beneficiaries are yet to receive their cash support. We'll speak to the country director of Send Ghana shortly, but first, 1 out of 4 Ghanaians still live in poverty, despite the country's huge efforts at reducing poverty. The most affected group are women. Ghana's government introduced a cash transfer program to assist the country's most vulnerable, but 9 years after the implementation, the project only reaches just 1 out of every 10 people who need it. The following story explores what this intervention means for the haves and have-nots. Here's a playback of Justice Bedu's story on the LEAP program.
Let me introduce you to 2 women, Memunatu and Zainabu. They are both widows in their mid-50s and live in a small village called Gupanarigu, just outside the northern regional capital, Tamale. But what separates them? Memunatu was enrolled onto the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program months after she had lost her husband. She receives 106 cedis every 2 months. She is one of 31 people like her enrolled on the program in Gupanarigu alone.
When we were not in the LEAP, things were very difficult. Feeding was a problem for us. But now that we are receiving something, life is changing.
With money from her LEAP cash transfers, Memunatu is able to buy shea nuts and prepares butter for sale. She is now also able to put her children through school. Enter Zainabu. Her 17-year-old daughter Asana has just been sent home as she's unable to pay for her fees. Now she is down with an unknown sickness and has no money to seek medical care for her. Asana is Zainabu's only child who is still in school. Her other children dropped out when her husband died. Now, as is the case with some women who lose their husbands in parts of Ghana, her husband's family are threatening to throw her out of the family house.
Formerly, I was farming, but I do not have the strength and I have to use fertilizer. Fertilizer is also expensive, so I can't get it. And we are just struggling. Educating the children is a problem. I have one girl whose school fees I can't pay. I have seen the other women who are benefiting and I see the changes in their lives. I want to change my life too. My elder daughter is back home sick. I can't take her to the hospital and I can't get her to go back to school too.
Zainabu is also one of several people with a similar story in Gukpanarigu. She isn't on the LEAP program yet and has no financial support. Despite its successes since its introduction, questions have been raised over how this project would be sustained, especially in the event that donors begin to cut back their funding. The biggest problem, though, remains how government will now be able to scale up this project to cover as many people as possible. As it stands now, only 1 in every 10 poorest of the poor in Ghana who should be on this program are actually enrolled. Introduced 8 years ago, the LEAP is a social intervention program aimed at cushioning the country's poor and vulnerable. With 1.3 million people now trapped in dire poverty in the northern region alone, this region now makes up for the largest number of poor people living in any of Ghana's 10 regions. Despite its success, the worsening living conditions of Ghana's poor people may end up derailing the country's fight against poverty. Justice Bedu, Gukpanarigu, Northern Region.
So Justice Bedu put together that piece when the intervention was 9. It is now 13. Let's go to Zoom now and speak to the Deputy Country Director of Send Ghana, Dr. Emmanuel Eifa. It's been almost 13 years of the LEAP program. How do you say the initiative has fared?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your cherished listeners, and thanks for the opportunity. Yes, it's been 13 years. I remember during the 10th year of LEAP, Send Ghana, we put out some research findings that was looking at the 10th year of LEAP. What we looked at is, at the time, whether it was relevant for everybody to still stay on, considering the fact that the idea was to pave way for other new people also who are poor and vulnerable to also enjoy. But the fact is that some of the challenges that we saw in the 10th year celebration of LEAP 3 years ago is now still existing. And so that then questions the fact that, yes, LEAP as a cash grant program that seeks to help smoothing consumption and also, at least to some extent, help the nutrition status of poor households is going to help. But then that is not what we are seeing, because as our statement, we put our statement out there, there are still systemic challenges, especially when it comes to incessant delays in the payment of the beneficiary's cash grant.
And I was just coming to that. Let's start with that. First of all, that gives you, let's start with the cycle, the second cycle delays which you talk about, or payments which you talk about. That gives you an indication that government is committed to paying regardless the delays.
Yes, of course. From the most of the things that we've done over the years, this is not the first time we've put out a statement about delays in LEAP payment. If I should step back in somewhere 2019, we are around the same time, September, we observed a similar trend. Okay. So we actually put out a similar statement, and of course, government actually paid the LEAP cash grant, but of course, it came at a later time. And we are observing the same trend this year. January's payment delayed. Every time government will pay, but then the fact is that it delayed. Okay. What we are saying is that already these are very poor and vulnerable individuals whose lives solely depend on the cash grant. And so if it is delaying, then that will mean that oftentimes they are not able to actually get what they have to get to actually survive. And that is why we are calling on government that as much as possible, we shouldn't see such consistent delays in payment of LEAP cash grant. In fact, today I was in a meeting with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Poverty Reduction, and then some key personnel from the ministry. You could really tell that it was quite even difficult for them, for those in the ministry to come to terms with this. For them, they wish that LEAP beneficiaries get their grants and get it timely. But the fact is that they do not hold the purse. It has to obviously be the job of the Ministry of Finance. We've been discussing about fiscal space for social protection interventions in general. Okay. Social protection intervention, LEAP, if you listen to and you watch and what you just played right now, it tells us that yes, such social protection interventions do have some benefits. Absolutely. And so if it does have some benefit, it is important that government has to be up and doing, not delay in the payment. And that is quite worrying in the context of the COVID situation where most of these vulnerable people are already hit hard. Yeah, but Dr. Ifa, you described the delays as incessant, but per your own statement, the last payment was in July, and therefore the arrears cover only August and September. Those who are familiar with the bureaucratic system would say this is normal and consistent with the 2 months payments that you cited again in your letter. And we are not holding brief for government, but why is this a problem for you? It is, my brother. The fact is that LEAP payment are supposed to be done bi-monthly. And so that's why we said it's incessant, because let me not take you back to 2019, but let's just look at even this year. As we stated in our, the position, clearly, January, they were supposed to have been paid, but they were not paid until March. And then the payment that was to be done in March also, they ended up paying in June. Okay. And we are seeing the same trend. The fact is that we are in September. The money that was supposed to be paid in July had not been paid yet. That is the 73rd one. Okay. And by now, 74th is also supposed to be paid. So we have 2-month backlog, and that has been the trend. We always realize that they are 2-month backlog. Maybe we better tell the LEAP beneficiaries that you are not going to get your money as you're supposed to get it, so that they can also plan with it. And the fact that you are expecting the money and you do not get it, and these are people who are, some are indigent, coming from very vulnerable situations. Okay. These are aged persons. Some are not able-bodied, they cannot work and whatnot. Indeed. And so if I'm expecting the money and it doesn't come, sometimes it does affect the way some of them are able to live. Doc, I'm grateful for your time. That is the Deputy Country Director for CEN Ghana, Dr. Emmanuel Eifada, joining us with more on their statement on the delays in the payment of LEAP to the beneficiaries. Away from that, housing agencies are largely unregulated in Ghana, leaving many people in search of houses at the mercy of their high and fluctuating charges. Rent charges are a part of a myriad of problems in the country's housing sector. John Hughes is readying up for the annual Habitat Fair, a one-stop shop for everything housing. Ahead of that, my colleague Justice Bedu spent some time with the housing agent to understand their work. Here's his report.
Eugene Kumsen is a housing agent. He has no office and works from his chamber and hall apartment inside La, a suburb of Accra. He charges 50 cedis for a day, showing people around available houses. And when you have a place to settle on, he takes 10% of the total amount that will be paid to the owner of the property.
50 Ghana, but for somebody to come out by giving you 50 Ghana, some even have been asking, any market share I 50 Ghana. No, on them. It's part of my work. It's a principle. You have to follow it.
I am following Eugene and one of his clients to see a place he intends to rent out.
It's a real hassle. Almost every day I'll have to be out meeting agents.
Peace Bomasan has recently landed a job in Accra.
Agent fee. They call it, some of them call it viewing fee. Taking you to the place, you have to pay some fees. Some take 50 cedis, others will say 60 or 70. The 2 years will be how much?
She used to live in Wa, the Upper West Regional Capital, where she says she was paying 1/10 of the money she is being asked to pay for a property that is half the size of its former place.
If you should consider the work you do and other things you have to be doing, and then having to be paying this huge amounts of money for rent, it's just so unbelievable.
Some of the accounts used to say that, yeah, Asantefo, yes, can cocoa. You see, for Greater Accra, yeah, what cocoa na a dime. Yeah, because everywhere you go in Greater Accra, room is very expensive.
Peace is not alone. With a housing deficit of 1.2 million, thousands of other people like her are out there struggling for a roof over their head. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Accra.
You're watching Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Mino. Still to come, there's a possible spiral effect from the Guinean uprising as experts predict 2 more coup d'etats may be recorded in Africa before the end of 2021.
Societies where there is suppression of dissent and the expression of free views, we never, ever get to know what's happening.
And coming up in business, the COVID-19 Business Recovery Trade Ministry begins disbursement of 282 million cedis to revive businesses in the industrial sector.
Under the Ghana COVID-19 Alleviation and Revitalization Enterprises Support, the Ministry of Finance has graciously allocated 282 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Trade and Industry to pursue interventions for the revival of an active trade and industry.
We have details after this break. Don't go away.
Hi there, you're welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. The Ministry of Trade and Industry has begun disbursing 282 million cedis to revive businesses in the industrial sector affected by COVID-19. According to the Deputy Minister, Herbert Krapap, this is part of efforts to ensure the implementation of some targeted reforms to continue the increased foreign direct investment in Ghana. He was speaking at the Maiden Spark Up Summit, expected to unlock Ghana's investment potential.
Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Herbert Krapap, disclosed that the ministry is expending 282 million cedis to businesses to help them recover from the impact of COVID-19. Speaking at the maiden edition of Spark Up Summit, he indicated that his outfit will fast-track the execution of some reforms.
To emerge strongly from the havoc of the pandemic and restore the impressive trajectory of foreign direct investment, the ministry has accelerated efforts to build industrial parks and special economic zones across the country. The Ministry of Trade and Industry has also established business resource centers across the country to provide relevant business venture information and technical resources to private sector investors. We have also established joint business councils with some African and European countries to provide ministerial level support for driving investment between Ghana and partner countries. Under the Ghana COVID-19 Alleviation and Revitalization Enterprises Support, the Ministry of Finance has graciously allocated 282 million Ghana cedis to the Ministry of Trade and Industry to pursue interventions for the revival of an active trade and industry sector. Light manufacturing, agro-processing, import substitution, automotive, export, and pharmaceuticals will be the focus areas of this intervention.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant, is calling for partnerships to monetize assets to benefit from the African Continental Free Trade Agreement.
Africa is very well endowed, but unfortunately we export our raw materials and then import the finished goods out of our raw materials we export. And I believe that the AFCFTA gives us a great impetus to change that whole dynamic And once again, I would like to say that the inspiration from the president of a Ghana beyond aid resonates loudly on the African continent for us to actually monetize the assets that we have through partnerships and linkages and create a better continent of wealth creation and jobs.
Meanwhile, Charles Idubuahin assured that his outfit will implement policies that will make firms competitive to attract more foreign direct investments.
Essentially, to support FDI growth consistently and effectively, we realize that we must provide the proper framework of policies, institutions, and support services that make our firms competitive, provides incentives to invest in skills transfer, and provides an opportunity for investors to realize risk-adjusted returns in Ghana, which are far above the sub-Saharan African average. Given the fragility of the economy, both here and across the world, the essential requirement today is to do everything possible to nurture and secure a robust recovery where our economies emerge stronger from the pandemic.
Spark Up is an initiative by the Ghana Investment Promotion Center and the Ministry of Information to connect investors, facilitators, private service providers, and the general public to unlock fully Ghana's investment potential.
International ratings agency Moody's has kept the country's credit score at B3. It has also left the economic outlook status at negative. Now, this is after the agency carried out its assessment on Ghana's ability to pay back its debt and future threats to its finances. George Rafi has more in this report.
It was the expectation of some economists that with the pickup in growth, that should have impacted on Ghana's outlook review. However, the rating agency argues that because of the country's rising debt, which they don't see the situation improving anytime soon, it decided to leave the negative outlook unchanged, keeping this as more of a warning that they don't see things improving anytime soon. On the B3 credit rating, which is more of one level just below junk status, Moody's maintained that it is also not convinced about measures being taken by government to improve its financial position to meet its debt obligations going forward. According to Moody's, it is particularly worried that it doesn't see the situation improving post-pandemic because of the high gross borrowing requirement and ongoing liquidity challenges. The development could mean that Ghana's cost of borrowing on the international market may not be coming down anytime soon if investors want to rely on the concerns raised by Moody's in its assessment. Private businesses would also not be left out, as this development could also impact negatively on their cost of borrowing if they should turn outside for some credit support. According to the 2021 budget, government is setting aside some 35 billion Ghana cedis as interest payments on loans.
And that'll be all for business. We have sports coming up this day.
Hans Mensando here with the sport here on Joy News Prime. And former Black Star striker Yao Preko, who played with Siki Akono, tells Joy Sports it will not be a good decision to sack the Black Stars coach after Ghana's abysmal performance in the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifier against South Africa on Monday. There is more in this Joy Sports report.
It's been 20 months since Siki Akono was appointed as head coach of the Black Stars. It is the biggest job of his career, and as expected, he has been under immense scrutiny from the onset. Akono replaced under Fire Kwesi Appiah, a coach he was assistant to just months before. In a period of adversity, Ghana football had stooped to its lowest after failing to qualify for the 2018 World Cup and then subsequently being knocked out in the round of 16 stage of the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. The country needed stability and a coach who had the vision to steer the Black Stars to the pinnacle of not just African football but world football. The short-term targets were to qualify for the 2021 AFCON and 2022 World Cup. So far, Akono has achieved the former, with the latter hanging in the balance after a painful defeat to South Africa. Many Ghanaians are calling for Siki Akono's head, but his former playmate, Yao Preko, has jumped to his defense.
Sacking is too early. It's just 2 games. He has already qualified us to the World Cup, to the AFCON. And we just played 2 matches so why do we have to push the panic button? No, we have to take it easy. I know how everybody is feeling, that you sack him now, you bring another coach, and and you don't qualify, he will tell you his time is very short, and then that you need to give him time. If he doesn't qualify, are you going to sack that one too? Then we'll end up sacking. Let's give him the support. Let's give him the benefit of that. We know he can do it. We have to believe in him. Sometimes when the bashing is too much, the person gets confused, Just give him the backing, and with a good backing and a good support from all of us in these 2 matches against Zimbabwe, let's go 100% on support on him, and I know he will deliver.
CK Akono's signature on the Black Stars is yet to be seen after almost 2 years in charge. However, Yapreku believes the former Hatsufolk and Asante Kotoko coach will build a formidable Black Stars team if he's given more time.
You can't take 4 or 5 days to have a signature. It takes time. And when I know CK can deliver is when we've called it, the team is preparing for a tournament. And first to qualify for the tournament, then you build a team. Then you can have the cohesion, whatever that you want to implement, the system, how you want the team. You play it in the friendly matches. Then you can deliver. But coming for 3-4 days, and then after playing a game, you lose about 4 or 5 players for the next game. It's always difficult. You can't blame CK entirely for what is going on. But I know this is just the second game. When you look at it, you win your home and you lose away. Doesn't mean it's the end. Still have more games to go. Support him, and I know he will deliver.
Ghana's next assignment in the 2022 World Cup qualifiers is a tie against bottom-placed Zimbabwe on October 9.
And it's now time for the latest in the world of showbiz. Beautiful Becky's here with all the details. Hello, Bex.
Hello to you, Ernest.
How are you?
Fine, thank you. Let's talk about the big talent show, which will happen on our Dome TV.
It's a new show?
It's a new show.
Okay.
And so for those of us who haven't seen anything of that sort, or who don't know what's going to happen, we have excerpt of, the show for you here.
You were close to me, yet I did not know. The love that I seen for many years was right beside me, yet I couldn't feel it. When I close my eyes, I see you coming to me, my girl. I didn't know that we were heartbreaking to each other. When the breeze of love blow you to me, my girl. I know it was an everlasting love, but it hurts me to see you go. You made me cry when you said you leaving, I cried. When you left me alone, I wish I could hold you close. The things that they do for me, nobody can do. Them really make my way. Even though I might know, they're gone. Nothing compares to you. You're wonder in my life. The things that do for me, nobody can do. The miracle you make my way, he blow my mind. No, nothing compares to you. You're wonder in my life. I've never seen this kind of before. Wonder. I've never seen this kind of before. Wonder. Jesus, now I oh, Jesus, yeah. Jesus, now I oh, Jesus, now.
Okay, so very interesting.
Yeah, so it's something that you should look forward to on our sister station at Dome TV.
Okay.
Will be coming soon.
So that's an excerpt of the audition.
Audition, yeah,
okay,
happening. That's still ongoing. The audition is ongoing. So if you're out there and you're interested, you can join it. Let's move away. Let's talk about Aboli. He is a Cameroonian, Ghanaian-based musician. He held a listening for his new album, second album here in Ghana, and here's what he has for the industry.
Ujasuma Africa, it's a 10-track album. You know, I think what inspired me was I just wanted to bring out a message, to fellow Africans, no matter the age. I think that it's an age where there is a wind of revolution in Africa, but it's no longer the kind of physical revolution. It's more of a mental revolution. I thought that I could play a part in it, through putting out some knowledge and trying to impact people in song, which is what I do best in music. Yeah. Sincerely, it's taken us like 2 years or more, particularly because of the advent of COVID-19. It slowed a lot of things down, and then it also gave us time, to rethink and rework on the album, because there were some things that were supposed to be on it that were taken out and more things brought in because of the time. So it's taken us like 2 years or more. There's a huge market for indigenous African music in Ghana, especially comparatively to other countries, and there's especially compared to Cameroon, which is the other side where I'm coming from, a part of Ghana, and they are very professional stages in Ghana. It's one of the reasons why I actually came here, got into high life music, and then put it up,
So that's Aboli there.
Yes, that's Aboli there. And that'll be all for Showbiz.
Thank you very much, Becky, for bringing us up to speed. We have more stories for you. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. She was a young single mother with her own struggles in life, but with very high hopes of a bright future where she would be a fulfilled school teacher. But one road accident is all it took for all those hopes to be lost and replaced with suicidal thoughts. This is the story of Mercy in Bugri, a 22-year-old woman who lost her 5-month-old baby and her left leg amputated after a ghastly accident in Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. Correspondent Albert Sori has the rest of the story.
I couldn't even eat. I cried the whole day.
Tears as Mercy Mbuguri recounts her ordeal after losing her 5-month-old daughter and her own leg in a road accident. She is only 22 and still has her whole life ahead of her. But life suddenly seems like a horrible nightmare she wishes she could just put an end to.
I'm on pain too much. They should keep praying for me.
Mercy graduated from the senior high school in 2019 and had a baby a year later. She was assisting her aunt, who operates a restaurant and with whom she has lived since she was a child. Mercy says life has not always been easy, but she was hardworking and hoped to further her education in the Teachers Training College. One fateful afternoon in February this year, she boarded one of these commercial tricycles, popularly called Mahama Kandu, in Bolgatanga. She was going to the market with her daughter, but they never got to their destination. A car crashed with their tricycle, and when Mercy opened her eyes, she was in the hospital. Her baby was nowhere to be found, and doctors came with the news that her left leg was going to be amputated.
So I decided to ask my aunt what happened, and she told me that we had an accident. So I asked her, where is my baby? She was telling me different story. I don't even understand what she was trying to tell me. She couldn't tell me where the baby was. Meanwhile, the baby died at the spot. And the doctor even said that they've already damaged the leg. so they have to amputate it. They were asking of 6,000 Ghana cedis before they can amputate the leg. So I asked my mom whether they can afford that money for them to do it for me. She told me that the little they have, they will give it out for them, so that they will do it for me and I'll be free.
Within a short period of time, all the good plans for her life had suffered a major setback, and all she now sees ahead of her is a life of hopelessness and despair.
So that was last 2 weeks. We went back to Boku for review. When we went, the doctor said we should go for an x-ray. We did the x-ray and came. The doctor said there is a fracture inside the bone, so they have to do second operation again. In fact, that day, I couldn't even eat. I cried the whole day. I couldn't sleep. I'm on pains too much for about 7 months now.
Mercy is not married to her late daughter's father, who lives in the south. She says although the man tries to support her from time to time, he also complains that things are not going so well for him. Therefore, the financial burdens are solely on Mercy's aunt, Asana.
I'm a caterer, so I sell food, so we do small. So when it happened, I went back and locked the place to take care of her. So far at the hospital, we spend a lot, about almost 7,000 to 8,000 at the hospital. We spend a lot. Yes. And Monday, she told me something I was not happy. She said that, Mom, that if this leg does not heal, she will give her life out. She will give up. She will give her life to God. Then I said, no, don't give up. We are all here praying for you, be with you. If you don't love you, we will all not be here.
Mercy is now hopeful that she can get back to her life if she could get some help.
Please, I want them to help me join my colleagues in school. And I think if I get a prosthetic, it will help me join my colleagues in school and for me to afford some drugs.
For now, 22-year-old Mercy Mbugri can only pray, remain hopeful, and face each day of her life with patience and endurance. Albert Sorry, Joy News, Bolgatanga.
Very sad story there. Let's bring you some statistics. And as over 800 people have died of motorcycle accidents between January and August 2021. You have a total of 828 there. That's the specific figure. And this represents 42.9% of total road crashes, resulting in deaths. And so this is between January and August 2021. We're talking about motorcycle crashes alone. We have a total figure of 3,584 crashes since January. So total number of deaths, 93, and the total number of injuries, 400. 400 people alone have sustained injuries as a result of motorcycle crashes, with focus on August 2021. So that is some statistics we put together by our research desk. And tonight on the Classroom Project, it took a philanthropist intervention for children at the Sonia Yili community in Toulon to have a stint at formal education. Their joy was, however, short-lived when the philanthropist died before the 6-unit classroom block was completed. Now, out of the 6, only 3 classrooms is partially manageable. Nearly 400 children have to battle for space on a daily basis to learn in the current structure. Head teacher of the Zonayili EA Primary School, Ishaku Abdul Karim, says the increasing number of enrollment is affecting academic work because of the limited space. He's appealing for support to help the community complete an additional 3-unit classroom block for the children.
I'm Ishaku Abdul Karim, head teacher of Zonayili EA Primary School. Actually, I was posted to this school in 2019. As a new head of this school. So when I came here, I realized that the school was facing classrooms problems. And because the enrollment outweighed the classes that they were having. And I learned that one lady initiated this school and government later took over the school. So that's the state of the school. And then the ladies decided to extend the pavilion over there. So that pavilion you see there was extended by that lady. And she molded some blocks to continue with the project, and later she passed on. And the community decided to step in and complete the project for the kids to be sitting in, because actually the limited classroom is affecting academic work. Because when you look at this school, the enrollment is overwhelming because it's 387 pupils and 3 classrooms. You can't manage it. Every classroom, 50 plus students, and there are going to be 2 classrooms in a classroom, 100 plus, it will not work.
And so we invite you to join the classroom project. For all your support and assistance, the Momo transaction should go to 05930388832, and that is Joy FM, or to the Access Bank account number 009010105491. That's the Castle Road branch, and the branch code is 009. The SWIFT code is ABNGGHAC. You can also reach us at our front desk for further enquiries on the number 0302216540. And you're watching Johnny's Prime with me, Ernest Menu. Let's do some more stories. And CEOs of state-owned enterprises could risk removal from office if they breach a proposed governance code. This is geared at improving efficiency and cutting down on years of losses, which has been of concern to government over the years. Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta in July this year revealed that SOEs, I beg your pardon, had recorded a net loss of about 586 million by the end of 2019. This was at an event to sign a performance contract with the CEOs. The State Interest and Governance Authority on Tuesday held a stakeholders engagement on a draft code seeking to change this trend. Now, there's more in the following report.
Director General of the State Interest and Governance Authority, Stephen Asamoah-Boateng, first expressed concerns regarding low attendance by CEO of state-owned enterprises.
Those who have not been with us today, although they were invited, I'm sort of disappointed because this is such a crucial document that will impact on your entities and your lives as a CEO, as a board member, as a board chair. Invitations went out. My team has been calling. And here we are, about just a third or half. I know some of you are joining us virtually. I don't know the number, but I will do the count later on. My concern is that I've been around for so long in Ghana politics and in the economy so much that one of the things that we fail to acknowledge is time management and its discipline of work.
He advised those who do not want to do their job to step aside.
If we've been entrusted to do a job, just put your brains to it, put your attention to it, put your commitment to it, and do it. If you cannot do it, ask permission and leave. Leave the scene. Somebody is prepared to do the job. It's a very important document we are discussing today.
Minister of Public Enterprises Joseph Kudjo explained how the proposed code could make SOEs efficient.
When we develop it and it's adopted, it becomes an implied agreement
between the boards and the management teams to exact themselves up to a certain higher level of performance. And the benefit is to all of us. When it's not performing, when state enterprises are not performing, the dire consequences are that they are not able to expand, to deliver employment. They are not able to expand to support government. They are not able to grow, to create wealth. So this tool, we all have interest in it to make sure that it becomes powerful enough. And to make it powerful, I tell all of us that it is the state and everybody participating at this moment should come with a view to participate with a viewpoint of a shareholder and an investor.
Consultants for the code, Ishmael Yamson and Associates, also shared some perspective on how this will change things.
So, when you become a CEO, when you become a DG, when you become a board chairman, it's not the post, it's not the position, it's the responsibility of delivering value. Delivering value. And most of the things that we have not been able to do in the public sector boils down to one thing: bad governance.
The State Interest and Governance Authority will hold other engagements as it prepares to have the Code of Governance come into force.
The Attorney General's office is preparing for committal proceedings against 3 people standing trial in the murder of the social activist Ibrahim Mohammed in Nigeria. The proceedings are to prepare grounds for full trial of the accused persons at a higher court. A duplicate docket has been forwarded to the AG's office by the police prosecution team. Isaka Ibrahim, also known as Anyas, and Husseini Al-Hassan, both known NPP polling station executives, and Idi Mohammed, a brother of the late social activist, are accused of murdering Kaka Macho. My colleague Ohime Teria was in court and has filed the following report.
Lead prosecutor Chief Superintendent Kofi Blagoji told the court prosecution is counting on the AG to begin committal proceedings after the office acknowledged receipt of a duplicate court docket. Counsel for the third accused person, Mohammed Idi, had earlier told the court his client had taken ill and had to be arranged to seek medical care at the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital. Nonetheless, he satisfied his client was allowed medical care. But what does committal proceedings mean to the speedy trial of the case? Chief Superintendent Kofi Blagoji throws light on the proceedings.
We confirmed to the court that the docket is gone to the AG's office. And then counsel from the other side of the accused persons also confirmed that he even followed to the AG's office. They said the police has given the docket to the AG, and then the AG are preparing to come to court to do the commuters. You know, it's not the police who do the commuters, it's the AG. So the AG will be in court. So the court agenda matter to 23rd. So the falsehood outside there that the police are not doing anything about the matter is wrong. Yes, it has been established by even counsel of the accused persons. And then he raised an issue that some of the accused were not too well. But he again indicated he followed out, the police took them to the hospital and they were taken care of. So this is the matter. The A3, but from the council, he followed out, the police took him to Komfanochi and it's well catered for. We just do the work and hand it over to the AG. So they will come at the next agenda.
But what exactly was wrong with Mohammed Idi, brother of the late Ibrahim Mohammed, also known as Kaka Macho? Nephew Mohammed is a brother.
She was having a fever and he is also vomiting. So actually he cannot be detained with such conditions. So we directed our brother to come and see those in charge so that he will be sent to hospital. That was done and he was sent to hospital. He was detained. Actually he was detained at the hospital from the morning and he was discharged around 5:30 p.m. Actually he was sick, but God willing he is responding to treatment.
Meanwhile, the family of Isaka Ibrahim, also known as Enyas, says they trust police to thoroughly investigate the case. Enyas's brother, Bala Isaka, is hopeful his brother will walk free when the full trial begins.
Yankashe,
Ever say you a process no beko. Mrano be bedano inshallah wallahi de be bompaye say anukure bedadi say enyan kola no enter man tie nka anya se nifu say ayi alasa man tie o family aka bibia first time na me make asano no inshallah say etwen the court be because e anukure na da ho police for about just be interviews on ade na ho.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oiminteria reporting.
The confusion in the People's National Convention continues with a press conference and a counter-press statement. Let's start from the event in Kumasi, where a section of the leadership, supposed to be the National Executive Committee, announced their decision to remove the chairman, Moses Daniba, and dismiss the leader of the party, David Apasera. This follows a petition by the embattled General Secretary, Janet Asana Nabla, and other party members. The petition points to the financial malfeasance and misconduct of the two executives. At that news conference, it was announced that the Greater Accra Regional Chairman, Bala Salui Maikanka, takes over the role of party chairman as the General Secretary is reinstated. Nana Ojima was at the extraordinary NEC meeting and has come through with the following report.
A National Executive Committee meeting in August this year removed the General Secretary of the party alleging financial malfeasance and misconduct. According to the NEC, the decision to suspend the General Secretary is unconstitutional since it was not done by a properly constituted committee. Participants at the Kumasi NEC meeting say the regional chairs who participated in the previous meeting did not form a quorum. NEC member Suleimana Seidu explains
that the NEC meeting of 28 August 2021 was not properly constituted, pursuant to Article 45(3), and as such, that meeting is null and void, and its outcome must be treated by all with the contempt that it deserves.
The petition alleges an amount of 1.7 million cedis raised to fund the 2020 general election was drawn from the party's account by the two accused persons without knowledge of the General Secretary, who is mandated to run affairs of the party. They claim an amount of 150,000 cedis for the party's rent has been withdrawn by the former leader without party's knowledge. The NEC has found the persons guilty of all allegations, including difficulty in locating two vehicles received for the party's activities during the general elections.
For it by the three, the General Secretary, Janet Asanabla, the Youth Organizer of Ashanti Region, Muniru Mohammed, and the Communication Secretary of the Northeast Region, Memuna Idana, and uphold all the accusation as truth. Consequently, Mr. David Apasera and Moses Daniba are guilty of the accusations in the petition. That they are removed from their respective offices pursuant to Article 49A(4) of the PNC Constitution for misconducting themselves as prescribed in the petition indefinitely. We are saying that they are removed from office and they cannot carry themselves as officers of the party anymore. Mr. Apasera is no more the leader of the party. Mr. Moses Daniba is no more the chairman of the party. D, that in their absence, the Greater Accra Regional Chairman shall act as the national chairman and leader of the PNC. Chairman Bala Meikankan should be recognized.
Meanwhile, the party has tasked the General Secretary and the interim chair to retrieve party's property from the persons found guilty. Janet Asana Nabla spoke to Joy News.
I want PNC members to know that I'm capable of doing it. As a general secretary of the party, there is a reason why they voted for me as a general. So everything that belongs to the party that is with them, I promise them that I will follow them and make sure that I get it for them.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
But another statement has been issued by the communications director of the party, dismissing this pronouncement you heard in that report by Nana Ojima. Let me bring you those details. It says the PNC wishes to state unequivocally that its former General Secretary, Ms. Janet Asana Nabla, is still under an indefinite suspension following the National Executive Committee meeting of 28 August 2021 held at the Nat Hall in Accra. The National Executive Committee of the party is the second highest decision-making organ of the party after the National Congress. As such, it is only NEC or Congress that can vary any decision taken by NEC. And since the NEC meeting at which the former General Secretary was suspended, there has not been any meeting of NEC or Congress to review the decision. It is therefore preposterous for any gathering or dissatisfied party executives to meet anywhere and take a rather void decision to indicate that the suspended General Secretary has been reinstated. National Executive Committee meetings are convened at the behest of the leader in consultation with the National Chairman and/or the General Secretary, with one-third of all NEC members attending and chaired by the National Chairman, or in his absence, any of the vices, and in their absence, a regional chairman, but with the written consent of the national chairman. As far as the PSC is concerned, there has not been any notice or invitation for a National Executive Committee meeting sanctioned by the leader and national chairman or any organ or group within the party as stipulated in Article 45(1)(a) of the party constitution. In this regard, the widely publicized meeting in Kumasi today cannot pass for a NEC meeting, and therefore the accompanying communique should be treated with the contempt it deserves. The Honorable Moses Daniba is the legitimate serving national chairman of the party, and Mr. Bala Meikanka will only be impersonating if he holds himself anywhere as the acting national chairman of the PNC. The party will sooner than later take disciplinary action against all those involved in this act of lawlessness that seeks to project the PNC in a bad light. Thank you. Signed by the national chairman of the party. The 1991 batch of the Bishop Herman College of Pando in Pando has presented 53 desktop computers, 15 laptops, a projector, a screen, and some uninterruptible power supply units to their alma mater. The move is geared towards equipping the Information Communication Technology Department to enhance the teaching of the course to equip the students with the requisite skills for the current job market. There's more in the following report.
Over 2,200 students are currently receiving their second cycle education at the Bishop Herman College in Kpandu in the Volta region. About 550 of the students are studying elective ICT. However, there is not enough ICT equipment for the training of the students. The ICT department had only 23 computers available for use by the students. The in charge of the school's ICT department, Kavege Vinyo Peter, explained the situation had been challenging.
With the elective ICT, let's say first year, like currently Form 3 is 165, second years are around 200 and something, and then the first years are also in the 200 but so what we have to do is that we have to run shifts. Some teachers will have to volunteer to come and teach the practical aspect mainly in the night during their prep or dawn. Or some we look at it, we have to reschedule the calendar so that we teach some theories in the classroom, then we rerun our timetable internally apart from the school main timetable. Then we will move those who are to come into the lab to come to the lab. For the core, we didn't even allow them to come into the lab at all. We have to teach everything in the classroom, and you can understand teaching SL in the classroom, what kind of impact we are making on that child. But we do our best. Sometimes we look at the schedule, and weekends the teacher bring a whole class to the lab, and then they run those machines. They work with those machines.
Nonetheless, the Bishop Herman Old Boys 1991 and 93-year groups came to the rescue of the school. They equipped the ICT lab with 53 desktop computers, 15 laptops, a projector, a screen, and some uninterruptible power supply units. Komla Wugbe Ofori is the project coordinator.
In the light of the studies, the ICT studies, the examinations they do now that requires the practical use of computers and laptops, and that is why we took that opportunity. There are more challenging problems on campus. There are physical infrastructure problems about their roads, about their buildings, but we thought that working on a more pressing one was they could still study within the environment they are, and they needed to catch up with the world's trends as far as ICT was concerned. Our target was to bring 100 computers, but having done the 53 desktops and 15 laptops so far, we are still working on the rest, and we hope that as the donations trickle in, we'll quickly procure them and deliver them in good time.
Mr. Kavege lauded the gesture, indicating the ICT department is now well stocked with the requisite equipment for studies.
And with today's presentation, we are a bit relieved in terms of the resources. With this help also, we believe that we can revive our robotic club that has gone down for some years now. And you know, IT has become the order of the day. If a parent comes to Bishop Herman College now, you ask the parent that for your son to do the elective ICT, you are required to buy a laptop. You see the nature of the Ghanaian understanding, and therefore when support do not come in the nature that 91, 93 have done, you see that we can't move forward. And like I said earlier, it is based on this gesture that this year's WASI is going to run smoothly for us.
Fred Kwame Asawi, Joy News, Bandu.
There's a possible spiral effect from the overthrow of the Guinean president Alpha Condé, as experts predict there may be 2 more coup d'etats on the African continent before the end of 2021. On Sunday, a group of soldiers led by Colonel Mamadi toppled President Alpha Condé's administration. This is the second time a democratic government has been overthrown in West Africa within the past year. Speaking on PM Express Monday, Director of Faculty of Academic Affairs and Research at the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center, Professor Kwesi Enin, said if regional blocs do not nip the situation in the bud, it may spiral across the continent. With this recent trend of coup d'etats in the sub-region, the director of faculty at the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center is predicting that 2 more coups may be recorded before the end of 2021.
Unemployed, unemployable, poor education, there's a sense of frustration, a sense of exclusion, victimhood, and dispossession. Okay? And across the sub-region, we are seeing, as Honorable Okuduto has said, the tinkering with constitutions, the suppression of civil society voices, the manipulation of media to tell a particular type of story. Yesterday morning at 7 a.m., the civil servants and Guinean media were praising the president. And today they switched around, and are praising the new man. Okay, in societies where there is suppression of dissent and the expression of free views, we never ever get to know what's happening. And so, if you use this as a criteria, probably my 2 countries is on the conservative side. We are on the cusp of going back 20 years. A conflagration that is much bigger than individual country coup d'etats. We are looking at a social upheaval of millions of youth, angry, frustrated, armed, using social media to share information, to organize, and to move. But we can pull back from the brink.
But Ghana is certainly not on this list, is it?
It's up to the listeners to determine. Okay, it's up to my listeners to say, do these variables fit? And if they fit, what can we do to pull back from the brink?
Leader of the junta, Colonel Doumbouya, has announced that a new union government will be formed in the coming weeks with no witch hunt against former officials. But the ranking member on Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, believes ECOWAS and AU must immediately engage the coup leaders to facilitate a smooth transition.
I think that diplomacy should set in. High-end, sophisticated diplomacy should set in at this point in the interest of the Guinean people and in the interest of the stability of the sub-region. But whilst that is being done, you know that there are too many hotspots. This is an opportunity to speak to all those other countries.
Don't wait till it gets
who have amended their constitutions, who are very unpopular. As we speak, see what's happening to Bobby Wine. See what's happening to other opposition leaders from Djibouti to Comoros to Cameroon, all the way even to Rwanda, which is a success story in terms of vision and development. But when it comes to human rights, when it comes to political dissent, it's not a great story. This is a time for the AU to make all those interventions. And then, finally, the concrete problems in the continent, unemployment.
Briefly.
Unemployment, the despondency, how democracy, this new wave of democracy, the third wave of democracy, as the scholars would call it, has not so far delivered the goods. So young Africans are disillusioned. That's what's happening in Ghana. Fix the country. Nigeria, you saw NSAS.
Okay.
You've seen it in Uganda and so many other places. It is time for African leaders
to deal with the
root causes, which is unemployment, lack of opportunity, and then to make sure that a new continent is constructed.
It's now time for business. I'm Charles Aitip. Mining giant Iron Ridge Resources Limited has hinted it is likely to secure permit to begin mining of lithium at the Ewoya portfolio near Salt Pond by close of the year. The company says its prospecting has found significant quantities of lithium deposits in the area. Exploration manager at Iron Ridge Resources Limited, Ivan Williams, says after the scope study revenue totaling $1.5 billion has been estimated with 14.5 million tons of the lithium deposit. Richard Kojanyako has more in this report.
Preliminary Australian Nuclear Science and Technology Organization test work confirms Ewoya concentrate near Salt Pond produces high-purity battery-grade lithium hydroxide monohydrate. The Australian company has been prospecting for lithium for some months, and they've announced significant quantities of lithium deposit has been found. Exploration manager at Iron Ridge Resources Limited, Ian Williams, explains the company has been prospecting for lithium at the Ewoya concession for months. He explains the level of activity ongoing at the concession.
This is where we collect the surface data and information about the geology. And this prospecting permit allows us to do all this work, but no mining. We have completed a scoping study, and that's all. It's a scoping study. It's not even a feasibility study, where we look at our footprint when we announced a mineral resource of 14.5 million tons in 2019, end of 2019. And the scoping study is an indication of what could be there. It is not a valid financial statement or an economic statement. It's just an indication. And that scoping study has a total revenue of $1.5 billion. But that's total revenue. That's not profits. That doesn't take into account expenditures, doesn't take into account any of the fees, taxes, and processing costs and things that have to be taken into account.
Ian Williams tells Joy News the company will soon approach government to go through the processes to secure a mining permit to begin the mining of the mineral.
The prospecting will continue indefinitely, or for the continuation of this license period, which is another 3 years. Because we have found this particular deposit, but we are still continuing to add to it by moving our prospecting outwards. So we expect prospecting to continue. So we intend to approach the government of Ghana hopefully this year, but it is subject to a successful feasibility study.
The company says it's employed a huge number of the residents in its operations. Principal geologist of the company, Abdul Razak, also speaks about the uses of the lithium.
The people we have employed or engaged on this prospect lances are all coming from the Mfansima municipality. And I think in terms of employment, we are doing better with the communities. Currently, we've engaged about 220 people working here, and we have about 50 professionals working at the moment. Some are consultants, some are contractors, some are permanent workers we are working with. Lithium is being used for batteries, like mobile phone batteries, laptop batteries. Currently, the world is phasing out from using the combustion vehicles like petrol or diesel, and the world currently want to go into electric vehicles. So I think the lithium is going to add up to the energy space.
Municipal Chief Executive from Fantiman, Kenneth Isuman, dismisses claims that government has sold 150 billion of lithium deposit at Sorpon. He says the prospecting of the company has not even ended for anybody to put value on the purported mineral.
The misinformation in the media space that the government of Ghana has sold our deposit, lithium deposit worth 150 billion US dollars to iron-rich resources of Australia is false. Nobody has even quantified or valued the deposit of lithium in the areas they are talking about. The iron-rich resources is still prospecting.
The company Oil Ridge Resources Limited tells us that they are hopeful that something good and significant would emerge from the prospecting they are doing here. From the Sorpon rig, my name is Richard Kwejunyako for Joy News.
Now, the decision by Cocoa Board to syndicate a higher amount of money for the next cocoa season has received commendation from beans trader Olam Ghana. The company believes that the move is an indication that the sector is expanding despite the adverse impacts of the global pandemic and climate change issues. Head of business for Olam Ghana, Eric Butcher, told Joy Business that the company will continue to offer support to farmers and the Cocoa Board to ensure that the country meets its production target. He spoke to Joy Business at this year's annual Cocoa Managers Conference.
In areas where we needed to go down to allow the industry to succeed, we did. So those were times that Cocoa Board was not able to pay for the farm gate prices. What happened was a lot of companies exited the industry and the market. Olam continued to be present, and then we took on some of these losses, but we used as an opportunity to make a statement that Olam is not here only to milk the farmer. Olam is not here to milk the economy. Olam is here to provide partnership and to be able to grow, to provide the necessary partnership to government so that all of us can succeed. We are operating a lot of businesses, as you know, especially take cocoa. We have a lot of processing plants across the world. And if you look at it, almost 60-65% of the world cocoa is between Ghana and Ivory Coast. And therefore, we need to really show love to our cocoa farmer, for the cocoa farmer to continuously have the confidence and the will to go to the cocoa farm the next morning. And that is what we have done. Really expanded. If you look at today's, if you look at the session, all the 500 to 600 managers that are here, almost about 100 of them are newly recruited managers of various fields coming from the 4 or 5 universities of Ghana. And it is a testimony to the fact that in the midst of the pandemic, you can still succeed. We think that this year, 21-22 financial year will be better. If you look at it, Cocoa Board has syndicated $1.5 billion instead of the 1.3. So we are not contracting as an economy, we are rather expanding. And that is enough testimony for us that our projected number of 200,000 tons minimum definitely will be done.
And that's how we end business, but I'll leave you with a summary of international business news, after which we have sports to stay.
Welcome back to Sports on Joy News Prime. And the First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo has donated 30,000 Ghana cedis to the playing body and management of Sekondi-based Hazakes ladies when they paid a courtesy call on her on Monday. There is more in the following report.
The First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo has appreciated Hazakes ladies with 30,000 Ghana cedis for winning the Wafu Zone B Women's Champions League. At a brief meeting with the team on Monday, the First Lady expressed gratitude to the clan for making Ghana proud at the Nouvelle competition.
And I'm very happy to receive you. I must say that, first of all, congratulations. Congratulations. And I know there's more ahead of you. I can see in your faces that you're eager to do more, Hazakes ladies. And I'll just reassure you that as your mother, I'll be here for you. I'll listen to you and see to your needs. I know that you came with an agenda, an envelope of your budget and everything. I'll have a look at it and see, the best that I can do, and also through the presidency, through my husband, who is a very keen footballer, I must tell you. I'm sure you know that. And I'm not very much into football, but seeing you today, I'm now going to keenly follow you. And so you don't have any worries. I'll do my very best for you as a woman to women. So thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
She looks forward to seeing them make bigger achievements.
Now, Sinapi Aba Savings and Loans are champions of the 2021 World Corporate Golf Challenge. The tournament saw high quality and competitive games at the Royal Golf Club in Kumasi. The competition was organized by the International Chamber of Commerce, Ghana. Love FM's Delali Atiasi was there and comes through with his report.
The competition, which was played with a unique format, saw two golfers representing each company in a Stableford shotgun format over 18 holes. The team from Sinapi Aba Savings and Loans, Kwabena Selom Bwampong and Clement Ufosuntiamwa, won with 72 Stableford points. Benny Mimes and Paul Chen, representing Smile Center, finished the competition as first runner-up with a score of 71 Stableford points. The second runner-up was the team from Axero Advisors Gustav Benbath and Alex Kwapon, who came with a score of 62 Stableford points. The winners qualified to represent Ghana at the world event to be staged at the Otaivas Dones Cascais, a five-star golf facility in Portugal, between the 1st and the 5th of November this year. Clement Ofosuntiamwa, who spoke on behalf of the winning team, says it was tough but is happy at the end result.
We feel very happy. It was a keenly contested competition, and thanks to my partner, we were able to do very well today. Because of the rains, the ball really doesn't run this time round. But we are so happy, as I must say. In as much as it was very tough, we're actually surprised to learn that we had won.
The World Final takes place over 5 days, providing guests with an action-packed program filled with tournament play, World Finals, VIP Legends Cup, social events, official license conference, local excursions, and endless business networking opportunities. Emmanuel Doni Kwame is Secretary General of the International Chamber of Commerce, Ghana, and this is what he had to say about this year's event.
We hope the winners will start preparing for the World Finals in Cascais, Portugal. The ICC, the International Chamber of Commerce, the licensee for the tournament in Ghana, believe that golf it's one particular sport that brings the world of business together. COVID made it impossible for us to have the event in 2020, but luckily for us, we've been able to put things together.
Sponsors of the event include PricewaterhouseCoopers Ghana, Consolidated Bank Ghana, Adidas Ghana, Gando Cosmetics, CAGL, Smile Center, EcoBank, and Pantec. The lead sponsor of the event, PricewaterhouseCoopers Ghana, presented the winning trophy and the ticket to the World Finals. Other competing companies included Consolidated Bank Ghana, Alliance Insurance, Cal Bank, Ganda Cosmetics, Clog Goldfields Ghana, Premier Fields, GCB, DLC, JK Ajman & Sons, and City Generation Bank.
You can read more sports at myjoyonline.com/sport. I am Hans Mensando. That'll be all for now.
Many thanks for your company on Joy News Prime. You find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Mino.
Hello, my name is Evans Mensah, and you can relive all the fun and excitement on Top Story, Newsnight, and of course, Ghana Connect via podcast. All you need to do is to log on to myjoyonline/podcast. Set for your favorite show and relive the moment. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Joy 99.7.
Hello and welcome to Springboard, your virtual university.
Spiky.